Well, it's an intermission episode. Let's talk about Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 6, Sunflowers. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass, and today I'm going to talk to you about Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 6, Sunflowers, which is coming on April 19th, 2023. It is kind of an intermission episode. It feels like it's an episode that is between two storylines, which is strange. I've kind of felt that about the last episode. I'm hoping that they are building to something bigger, but we'll see. So my hot take is, look, I think you should rent it. I think it's kind of a weak overall episode. There are some fun moments, but there really isn't a ton of story progression. And it just feels like a frolic or like an anime when in the middle of a season, they'll have like a one episode where like, hey, it's a beach day or something like that. That's exactly what this episode feels like. And I didn't love that. I want more progression. I want more kind of story progression because there are a lot of threads going on in Ted Lasso. I wanted to close some of them. This doesn't really progress many of them. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the episode, a few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and talk about the various threads that happen. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in this, but I'll let you know when I get to the spoilers section. You can watch up until that point. I'll keep it vague. When I get to spoilers, turn it off if you don't want to know anything about this episode. So like I said, in Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 6, Sunflowers, you have the team in the Netherlands playing Ajax. It's a friendly game, and after the game, Ted allows the team to kind of have a night out in Amsterdam, and that leads to what could be a lot of fun, what could be a lot of issues. Everyone kind of goes their separate ways and has a rather eventful, but in some ways uneventful night in Amsterdam, and that is basically it. So things I liked about this episode, the first, okay, look, like the side stories, they are entertaining. They don't progress the story a ton, but there are some fun, different things that happen. There's a few main groups. There's kind of the main team that goes off. Colin kind of goes off on his own. Higgins goes off with the ball boy. I forget his name, Jimmy maybe. And then Roy and Jamie go off on their own excursion. Ted has kind of a boring night, and Beard has an eventful night. So Ted and Beard were originally supposed to go on an outing, but they kind of get separated. So, and Rebecca also has her own endeavor. So that is like 7 different things. Each one has its moments. So overall, they are fun to see. And that kind of on a related note, the next thing I liked is there are some clever moments. There are some funny moments in this. Look, it's a Ted Lasso episode. There's going to be some funny stuff in it. It's just not as much as I was hoping, and not as like engaging and or meaningful to the overall story as I was hoping. And the last thing I loved is, look, there's some heartfelt moments. There's one specific I like, but there are some sweet moments in this episode. Again, it's Ted Lasso. You're going to have that as well. So basically, I guess I kind of liked the side stories, even though I didn't really love them because I wanted more progression in this episode. So things I didn't love. Look, it's kind of a weak episode. It's just so random. Like they all go off on their separate things. I'll talk a little bit more about it when I talk about the different excursions, but there's just not much meaningful that happens in this episode. There's a few little things here and there that will help in the overall story. There's like 2 or 3 main things that will kind of move the story forward, but it like inches forward. It doesn't really have any sort of big progression. And that is exactly what the second thing I didn't love is, look, it doesn't really feel like there's much story progression. It feels like this is a wasted opportunity. It feels like this is just I don't know, either they let someone else write the episode, they needed a break between the big storylines, they didn't want to have a big progression. But I also kind of felt like that was the last episode. The last episode I thought was a setup episode. This doesn't even really set up anything. It's really just kind of an intermission, like a frolic for the team. It's kind of like that, I think it was in season 2, the like Beard's Night Out episode, which some people liked, but I didn't because it just felt so random and so kind of not meaningful to the overall story. That's exactly what this one feels like. So that is Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 6, Sunflowers. It's coming to Apple TV Plus on April 19th, 2023. You're probably going to watch it if you're a Ted Lasso fan. If you're in this far, you're probably going to keep watching it. But overall, I thought it was a fairly weak episode. So I'm going to get into some of those jaunts that happen. If you don't want to know what happened in this episode, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So, like I said, there's some main groups that kind of happen. There's some main excursions. So originally they got on the bus after the loss to Ajax. They get humiliated. I think it's like 4-0 or something like that. They look terrible. Richmond looks terrible. They lost Ava. They kind of lost their way. They don't really know what they're going to do. And so Ted can feel the team is down. And so he says, you know what? Tonight, there'll be no curfew. I just want to see you on the bus at 10 a.m. the next day. In a real soccer team, that's probably not a good idea because your players are going to get up to some trouble. But hey, look, it's Ted Lasso. These guys are going to have some fun, but not anything terrible. So right off the bat, Jamie and Roy do not go because Roy is talking about how he's going to have such a fun night in Amsterdam. And Roy's like, no, we're training. You don't get the night off. So Jamie and Roy go off running through Amsterdam. That leads to their excursion where they go throughout Amsterdam. Roy finds out that Jamie actually loves Amsterdam. He has fond memories of it. And they also, for some reason, find out that Roy can't ride a bike, which again is very random. And so then part of the episode is Jamie teaching Roy to ride a bike. And then they go and bike to a windmill because Roy doesn't believe windmills exist because he's never seen one. Again, very random. That's their story. The rest of the team kind of is trying to decide between a few things. On the one hand, Van Damme wants to go to a live sex show. It's Amsterdam. It's Amsterdam. It's the red light district. Makes sense. On the other hand, Jan has a brother who is throwing like an exclusive crazy party a couple hours away. He wants to go to that. Probably the better option, but they kind of argue about this. And the team kind of argues for the entire night for the most part, trying to figure out what to do next, trying to figure out where to eat. But when they are talking about what they're going to do, talking about going out, going crazy, Colin says, you know what? I'm tired. I think the food doesn't agree with me. I'm just going to go to sleep. You all have fun. So Colin kind of goes off. When Colin goes off, Trent follows him. He's sniffing around for a story. We'll see. Colin ends up going to a gay bar. And this was introduced earlier. Colin is gay. He's had like the revelation was this season. And earlier, Trent had seen Colin kissing someone outside of Sam's restaurant. So Trent knows that Colin's gay. When he's in there, he's uncomfortable. He's not really like able to kind of live freely. And so he orders a drink, and then Trent shows up. And he's like, "Oh, what bar is this? I didn't realize that that was this bar." And then he kind of like tries to leave, and Trent follows him and catches up to him and is like, "Look, Colin, I already knew that you were gay. But I haven't told anyone. I haven't told a single person. And why would you think that? Why would you think I haven't told anyone?" And so we find out that Trent is also gay. And so they have kind of actually a very nice overall discussion. They talk about how this affects like Colin's soccer career, how he always has to have, like two personas, like his soccer persona and then his personal persona. And they can never really mix. Like he can't invite his boyfriend to the game. He can't like have his boyfriend run on the pitch after the game to like give him a celebratory kiss. Like he can't do that. He has to be a different person kind of in soccer and in his personal life. And he loves both of those personalities. He just wants those to be able to merge. It is an interesting discussion. It's a very heartfelt discussion. I liked that part. That was the heartfelt moment that I really liked. And so I liked that storyline a lot. Now, so Higgins decides he's going to go to the red light district. He takes the ball boy with him and you're like, okay, what's going to happen here? Higgins goes to visit like a famous jazz club where this famous jazz artist ended up dying, and they kind of like have a club there. And so they have him and the kid have a lovely night like at the jazz club. Higgins is like playing the bass air guitar style, and then they invite him up. Higgins goes on and he plays some jazz. It's kind of a fun little scene. And then the ball boy ends up hooking up with another couple, and so he has his first like big experience. So eventful night for them. Now, the team was arguing about what to eat, what to do, and eventually they have like a pillow fight to, I think, decide what they're going to do. They've wasted a lot of the night. The two sides kind of like square off. They have a pillow fight. It is a bonding moment. Like the team is coming together. They're kind of like working through their differences. Again, it felt like a big old waste of time, but they end up bonding that way. So now on to Ted and Beard. Ted and Beard are supposed to go out, and Beard makes them some like drug tea before to like make their night eventful. Beard pounds it. Ted doesn't drink it, and so Ted's kind of like trying to contact Rebecca. She hasn't been responding. He's trying to figure out what to do. He's a little worried about her, so he just doesn't feel like going out anyway. So Beard pieces out, goes on an eventful night. We don't actually see anything of Beard's night until the very end, where he shows up with this group of Dutch partygoers. He's dressed up in like as like I think Piggy Stardust or something like that. He's dressed up in this like crazy outfit. He's had an eventful night with them. He's speaking Dutch to them. Apparently he can speak Dutch. And that's it. We don't get to see anything from his night. I guess we already had a Beard night out, so we don't need that one, but it would have been fun to see like what he got up to. But anyway, he goes, he's out of the picture for the rest of the episode pretty much. Ted decides to go to this American restaurant in Amsterdam. It's like American portions, American talk, American everything. And so he's like, that sounds good. Usually not a good idea to go to an American restaurant in a foreign place. Try their local food, but Ted wants to. While he's there, he sees like an old Chicago Bulls game, and he starts thinking about like how the the basketball triangle offense allows the players to kind of play more free. They always have an option to pass. And, when the team is all working together, it is kind of unstoppable because everyone always has options to move the ball around and break down the defense. And that causes Ted to like go on this crazy, like beautiful mind type night where now fueled by the drug tea that he drank earlier, he's able to kind of like map out a triangle offense for soccer. He thinks about like how they would line up, how to let the players all play free. Come to find out the next day that the drug tea wasn't actually drugged, so this was all Ted and his inspiration, maybe just Amsterdam in general, and B, this is the concept of total football, which was, I guess, invented in the Netherlands. I know like Ajax runs it, a lot of Dutch teams run this concept. But hey, you know what? Ted came up with it on his own. He is starting to kind of become that coach, which we had hints of earlier. So he is now kind of thinking tactics, thinking soccer, and maybe this will be his breakout time. Maybe now he'll turn the team around. We'll see. Rebecca, when she was just kind of like walking around talking to Sassy, I think, and she was walking on a bridge that ended up being a like bike lane. And so she's getting all like flustered because there's bikes going left and right, and she ends up falling in the river for some reason. And she ends up falling in the river right outside this like very nice, attractive person's houseboat. And so he invites her on. He helps her up, dries her clothes off. He doesn't kill her, even though this is like the perfect setup for a horror movie. They have a lovely night. He makes her dinner. He dries her clothes. She's treated very well. He has no idea who she is, but he's just nice and like attracted to her, but he's being very respectful overall. So Rebecca has a lovely night with him. They drink, they eat, they dance. She falls asleep, and they have this just like wonderful one night stand, not stand because they don't actually hook up. I don't think, but that was Rebecca's night. So I think that's everyone. Oh, Keeley ends up flying to go see the Northern Lights in Norway with Jack at the very start. So she's not in the episode also. So that's all of them. Eventually, everyone winds up on the bus the next day, ready to go back to England, and presumably, maybe now we'll progress the story. I hope. It feels like there's a few key things, though. Like the team is now closer because they had this argument night / fun pillow fight night. They're starting to bond closer. I think Colin has now found a confidant that he can trust in the team, so maybe that will allow him to be a little more free, or at least give him someone to talk to in the team. Ted is becoming more of a coach. He has like now mapped out a strategy and a type of soccer that he wants to run. So I guess, yay for Ted. Maybe now he'll kind of step up more. Roy and Jamie have become a little closer. They had a kind of a fun night together. And so now I think maybe Jamie will have the confidence of Roy to be that striker that he is supposed to be. And Rebecca, I don't know. Rebecca seemed to have a nice night. Maybe now she feels like she can be loved, and maybe that will help her. Maybe she'll keep up with this guy. Maybe it'll be nice to have like a beau who is like not in England, not part of like the soccer world, like just someone that likes her for who she is. That'd be great. She could have a little like relaxing place that she can run to. So that is Ted Lasso season 3, episode 6, Sunflowers. It's coming to Apple TV Plus on April 19th, 2023. Look, you're already in this far. You'll probably watch it. I just hope that the next episode has a little bit more story progression and some more soccer. So thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.